once more, I've been summoned by ZHC to make some awesome artwork. This time, it's not an animated lyric video, it's an actual drawing. What Zach's done is he's made a whole bunch of different thumbnail sketches and he's sending them out to different artists. And those artists get to take the thumbnail sketches and make their own awesome piece of art out of it. It's a super cool idea and I'm excited to get started. But for mine, I want it to really stand out and be really awesome, so I'm not just gonna make an illustration. I'm gonna make a motion poster. What is that? Might be obvious from the name, but we'll get into it in a sec. Zach sent over the thumbnail sketches and I'm excited to see the options. Okay, we've got a few really cool options here. The first one is an Iron Man vs. Spider-Man, which is super cool looking. I think that would be a lot of fun. Next up, we have a super tough looking lady with a giant sword and a little dragon pet. This is super cool too. And then we've got a classic Spider-Man web swinging in front of some buildings. And finally, we've got Dax, Zach's original character. Zach? I never noticed that. But yeah, ZHC's original character, Dax. And as much as I love the poses for the other three, I feel like if I'm doing a video for Zach, I should do his original character, right? So let's get into the rough layout for this art, and I'll explain what a motion poster is, in case it's not obvious. It's probably obvious, but anyway, let's get into it. Okay, it's definitely obvious what a motion poster is. A motion poster is just a poster that moves. You see them online a whole bunch. First one I remember ever seeing was for the Wolverine. It was a pretty simple one, but it was really cool. Then I remember seeing one for Avengers Infinity War. Seen a whole bunch of other ones, but they're kind of usually like a looping animated GIF, or maybe the poster coming into full view and then the title. This one is gonna be kind of a looping animation of the character just breathing and looking all menacing and imposing with his name written in big letters behind him. Now going forward, I have to start keeping in mind what parts of this piece are going to be animated, because I have to draw different limbs in different layers and things like that. I know I want the arms kind of moving a little bit, and well, we'll get into more of that. I'm getting ahead of myself. Let's get into the next layer of rough drawings. Now working on Dax was a blast. The character's so cool looking, I love the design. It's like just the right amount of detail where it's not a super complicated costume, in fact, barely wearing anything at all, but it's the character has enough detail that there's a lot of room for me to flex my creativity a little bit and really get my style in there. I admittedly took a little bit of inspiration from Zach's usual style. I made it a bit less cartoony than I usually go, like the muscles, I tried to render them a little bit more realistically than what I normally do. And besides the spike balls that he usually has that I redesigned into sort of spike discs, I think I kept it pretty true to Zach's usual design of the character. But that's all for the rough. I'm just gonna lower my desk back into a seating position and then we can get into the next part. Might have drawn his head a little bit too big, but I'm drawing that layer separate from other parts of the body so I can shrink it down in the animation phase if I need to. Also, if you're enjoying yourself, please leave a like, and if you're enjoying my artwork, please subscribe and ring the bell to get notified when I release new videos. Okay, shameless self-promotion over, let's get into the inking and coloring. Alright, now the inking and coloring stage was kind of a combination of fun and frustrating, because what's nice is, besides working on this YouTube channel, I work full-time as an animator for another YouTube channel, The Score Esports. And it's a great place to work, but the thing is, because it's a YouTube channel, we have to get things done pretty quickly, so I usually have to find creative solutions to get a 30-second animation done in a day or something like that. Whereas with this, I'm doing what's going to be probably a 3-second animation that'll just be looped. So I can take as much time as I need to for this personal project and really make the animation as cool and awesome looking as I want, but that also means that I have to prep things differently, and I can't just draw it as I would normally draw an illustration. The one tactic for making motion posters that I've seen other people do is you do just draw the illustration as itself, and then you separate pieces afterwards and add things to it so that you can animate them. But I find that's a little bit unpredictable. It's never really worked for me that well in the past, and it limits what you can do movement-wise with the character. So as I said, I'm drawing everything in its own layer. I'm drawing the left arm in a layer, I'm drawing the right arm in a layer, the shoulder pad, the tongue, the hair, the top part of the head, the lower part of the jaw, so everything can move separately. Which, I know it's going to be a lot more fun to animate because I'm doing it that way and I'll be able to move things around with ease, but it's It's also a bit tedious and unnatural feeling to draw all of the bits as their own illustrations as opposed to just drawing one big nice piece of art. So with all the pieces done, here's what the character looks like as a still frame image. Alright, I'm quite happy with how this looks as a still frame, but it's obviously going to be that much more awesome once we get it animated, so let's do that now. Alright, now for all my animation needs, as I always do, I'm using After Effects. And I'm using two main techniques in After Effects. One of them is just kind of moving the more rigid body parts like the arms, just rotating and moving the position of them. And because I did them in separate layers, I can move them quite easily. But the main thing I'm doing is using the puppet tool, and that's especially for pieces like the ropes of the character, the loincloth, the tongue, the hair. The puppet tool is great for animating anything that's supposed to be a little bit more bendy and stretchy and have more flowy movements. One thing I recommend is to make things look like they're moving more naturally, don't have everything move at once. For things like tongues, tails, loincloths, capes, think of something like a towel. Like if you shake it like this, the base moves first, and then everything moves in a bit of a wave after that. You don't want everything moving together in one solid block. So a way to do that is, like with the tongue, I moved all the different bits how I wanted them to, then I offset all of the different movements so that it's got a flow to it, and it's got a really nice, natural sort of movement. But really, a lot of this was just finessing. You can see at one point I was going to put in a sort of glowy background behind Dax over the lettering like I did for that lyric video, but I just found that was going to be a bit too distracting and I wanted people to focus more on the character than on the lettering in the background, which really is just supposed to be the background. So lots of finessing, a lot of tweaking. I played around with this for a good long while before I finally settled on an animation loop that I really liked. And here it is.
Later.
So I was just hard at work on my next video, which you can see a little sneak peek of it there. It's gonna be a Star Wars Ninja Turtles thing. Anyway, Zach posted the video and I watched it and it was so cool to see. He got so many awesome artists involved in this. There were 13 different artists. A few of them are people I actually follow, like Art of Idan on Instagram. I've been following him for a while. His art is awesome. And Gox, I've watched a bunch of his YouTube videos. They're super cool. So many amazing artists, and it was just so crazy cool seeing my art in line with all of them because all their work was so incredible. And Zach made the video that much better by paying all of the artists double what their rate was, which is super generous of him. But he's also been doing a lot of work donating to charities and giving money to homeless people, so for my rate, I told him to just take the amount he was gonna give me and just add it to his charitable givings, because there's so many people that need the money more than I do. Alright everybody, wrapping up this episode by saying this is the last call for submissions for this month's community redraw episode. If you don't know what that is, on PopCross Studios once a month I do an episode where I take a bunch of submitted artwork based on the theme for the month and redraw it on here in my style, and then that month's artwork always ends up as the background for the videos for the next month. This month's theme is supervillains, so if you've got a supervillain you want to submit, this is the last call. You can join the Discord and submit it to the Characters for Pop channel, or you can send it to popcrossanimations@gmail.com, and your artwork or original characters could be redrawn on this channel. And finally, thank you again so much to Zach for bringing me in on this project. It was so cool to work on, so much fun. I had a blast working on Dax. Always an honor working with you, man. Alright everybody, this has been PopCross Studios, home of the nerdiest art videos on YouTube. I've been Christian Pearson, and I'll see you all in the next video, which is Ninja Turtles mashed up with Star Wars. Get hyped for that one. Goodbye, everybody.